During the Great Famine here in Ireland more than a century ago, in the late 1840s, there were three brothers living in this farm, James and John and Patrick. James and John struggled to farm their land, but Patrick walked through that very door and did what thousands of other Irishmen of his time were doing. He sailed away to the United States. There, he did quite well. He opened a bar. His son did even better and became a United States senator. His grandson did better still and became a multimillionaire and an ambassador. And his great-grandson did just about as well as any man can do. He became the President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. When a man gets ahead in this world, there are always a lot of people anxious to claim relationship with him. So, as you can imagine, this was a great day for the Irish Kennedys, who regarded themselves as having been blessed with a cousin in the White House. But not only for the Kennedys. There are 13,000 Fitzgeralds here in Eire, and they're just as anxious to claim the president as one of the family. For his maternal great-grandfather, Thomas Fitzgerald, also sailed away to fortune in America, leaving brothers and sisters here in County Limerick. That's all that's left of the cottage in which President Kennedy's maternal great-grandfather was born, and also where Mr. Ned Fitzgerald was born 72 years ago.
Yeah.
So how are you related to President Kennedy?
Through Fitzgerald, cousin.
Through?
Through the Fitzgeralds.
Now, what does that make you, then?
Second cousin.
You're a second cousin.
Brother.
How is it you're so sure?
Well, I'm not certain, you know. I don't know. It's on the books anyway, that's all.
You think you're the second cousin?
Yes, I think, yeah.
When did you first learn this?
Last September or October, like.
How did you find out?
The youngster came over, journalist.
Oh, some newspaper man
Yes,
told you?
yes, yes.
Have you noticed any difference in the treatment you're getting from your neighbours since then? Are you being treated with more respect now?
Well, I expect I am.
So it's quite a useful relationship in that
Oh,
case.
it is. Oh, it is.
Now, here's a picture of President Kennedy. Do
I
you
know.
think that he resembles you at all?
I'd say he do what, you know.
He does?
Yeah.
In what way?
In his features, like.
He's a good-looking chap, though, isn't he?
Oh, he's a good-looking man.
5 miles away, in the village of Bruff, in what was once a shop, lives Mrs. Sarah Dunn Rowe. Mrs. Rowe, how are you related to President Kennedy?
Well, you see, my mother's second cousin was married to Honey Fitz's father.
Well, now, Honey Fitz was the
Grandfather of President Kennedy.
Yes, so what does that make you?
I don't know, like, it must be some relationship, I think, isn't it?
How has your relationship with one of the two most powerful men in the world affected you? Are your neighbours here jealous?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't think so.
But the largest concentration of this constantly enlarging section of the Irish population, the presidential claimants, live around this small grey town of New Ross, the Kennedy side of this famous family tree. Parish records, which might have separated the would-be cousins from the real cousins, were unfortunately destroyed, burned, during the 1916 rebellion. So relationships here are softened by the imprecisions of ancestry. This is the whole of the Cohen family of Enniscorthy, apart from Mr. Cohen, who's gone fishing.
Fishing, that's right.
Mrs.
Yes.
Cohen, how are you related to President Kennedy?
I'm fourth cousin.
Well, how do you work that out?
The two great-grandfathers are brothers.
Do you share any family resemblance with the president, do you think?
Yes, I think my youngest daughter, Joan, has a resemblance.
Now, in what way do you think she resembles President Kennedy?
Well, her nose and mouth, I think she's something like him.
Yes. And any of your other children?
Patrick.
This is the tall boy at the back?
Yes, the back.
Yes, and what's he got as the president?
Parrot and nose and mouth, I think, too.
Yes, yes. How about characteristics now? Let me ask you. Do you think he shares any of your family characteristics?
Oh, well, he's a very determined man. Very determination, I think. He's determined in everything he does.
Mr. Joseph Kennedy, how do you believe that you're related to the president?
I'd be third cousin.
I'm third cousin.
You're the third cousin. Well, how do you work that out? Will you tell me, Miss Ryan?
My grandfather, James Kennedy, was a brother of the president's great-grandfather, Pat Kennedy.
So that makes your mother a third cousin and you think, a fourth cousin.
Mm.
Have you ever seen the president?
I did, yes.
When was that?
In 47.
Well, he came here, did he? Yeah. What did you think of him then, Mrs. Ryan?
Very fine young fella, he was at the time. Tall and thin.
Do you think he had the family look?
Yes, I think so.
He has. I see something of his smile in your daughter's smile here, I must say.
Now all you Irish people, just listen to this rhyme. With paper and with radio, we've kept touch all the time. The Irish nation followed close this historical event when Senator O'Kennedy was elected president. All of us knows the crisis grows. We hope heaven this man have sent. So here's the great O'Kennedy, the U.S. president.
Well, there's no doubt about it. It's hard to avoid the president's relations here in New Ross. And everyone, it seems, is getting into the act. There are already Kennedy ashtrays. There are U.S. President John F. Kennedy's ancestral home postcards. What's your name, incidentally?
My name's O'Kennedy.
You're not a relative of the president, are you?
Well, if there's any dollars in this, I'm related.
From New Ross. Good night.